Hello, guys. We're live today for segment number 15 of Carnivore Team GB. Myself, Ben Hunt, Alan Reeves, and Richard Smith. Today, the special guest is Alan, who I'd allow him to introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. My name's Alan. You might have seen me on mine and Richard's YouTube channel that we've been going for the last year. I've been keto for about 8 years now. I've tried them all, from strict keto to targeted keto to cyclical keto, and of course carnivore. I had success with all of them, to be honest. I'm almost 51 next week, I think, or the week after. My memory's gone. 51, and I was just in the men's physique competition in Sweden in December, where I placed first in the veterans category. It was over 40s, so I'll take that as a win, being 51 almost. So yeah, it's kept me in this condition for the last 8 years, really. Even since the competition in December, I was 90 kilos on stage. I was 91.2 this morning, which is, what's that, 2-3 months later. So I don't find that huge rebound. What I see some of the other competitors that was on stage with me, they're 10-15 kilos up, which is unbelievable when you think about it, in 2 months. So yeah, I'm a coach, a training coach, a mindset coach, lifestyle coach, talking about your own experience over the years, helping people, for men and women generally over 40, that need help with everything from nutrition, training, and just general mindset, to help them through life, which we all need someone to help us, I think. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, cool stuff. Similar stuff to me, but I'm no good at mindset at all. I'm good at doing my own thing and leaving myself to it, and letting other people do their own thing. But yeah, sounds quite cool stuff. I mean, I wanted to ask you about your stage weight, like 90 kilos. That's quite impressive. Are you quite tall, or you just big?
I'm in centimeters these days. 178, 179.
Okay.
So it's
5'9", 5'10".
5'11", 5'10 and a half, something like that. I think I shrunk with age. My spine's got compressed a bit, and I don't wear the big shoes as I used to in the 90s.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I know that one. And all about spines. But yeah, cool stuff. We're going to get around to the questions now. So if you guys do have any questions, please leave a Q in the front of the chat. We can easily access it and see it. We're going to go through them chronologically as they appear through the screen. If you do leave a super chat, that'll be prioritized. I believe we are streaming on Richard's channel, my channel. So send either of us. Well, you'd have to send me one, because Richard's still not monetized as of yet. I keep stressing around about that, but
my plan is to get my subscribers up considerably. I'm not as fortunate as the rest of you with your tens of thousands of followers. Mine dwindle a little bit behind. So yeah, before I do that, I want to see if I can at least match you guys on double figures, but we'll get there.
Yeah, my Instagram following is terrible at the moment. It's high in number, but not great in traction. I got most of my following about 7 or 8 years ago, but ever since, I've just not had any gain at all, really. I've been stuck around 13, 14K for like 5 years. But yeah, when it first kicked off, I seem to hit the algorithm. Now I'm not so good, but I'm trying to do more of YouTube, and I think that probably equates to about 10-fold increase in, or 10-fold ratio in terms of Instagram to YouTube. So 100K Instagram subscribers is worth about 10K YouTube, apparently. So Ben's actually got more than all of us. Haven't you, Ben? You got a chess channel?
Yeah, my chess channel, 13,300, I think, on YouTube.
That's pretty sick.
Chess? Yeah, is it a game chess? I thought it's a chest. Oh, chess.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they're good videos. I'm not a chess player. I'm not a chess player, but I think I might be.
At school. It's a great game. Not that I was better at drafts, though, unfortunately, but it's a little bit easier.
So what we'll do is we go to the first question now, guys, and just see what Alan thinks towards it. So the first question's about BPC 157. If you've heard of it, I have. I know quite a bit about it, but I'll ask you as our special guest.
Yeah, definitely heard of it. Never taken it exactly. So it stands for body. What does it stand for? Body composite
Protection.
protection. 157. My friend used it last Christmas for his knee. He was almost going to lose a lot of money for a pantomime he was in. I recommended he get some of this. Straight away, he was back on stage, and he performed the whole winter season on stage with no pain. So it got him through that. It's a great anti-inflammatory. It's really, really. Never tried it myself. Regarding Crohn's disease, I wouldn't know about that. I always recommend people to go carnivore for Crohn's disease and remove the fiber, but I don't know about BPC 157 for that.
Yeah, fair. Do anyone else have any thoughts towards it at all?
I'm curious to know what it is and how it's meant to act.
Yeah, it should be BPC, body protecting compound 157. It's a peptide. It's a chain of amino acids. They were legal, I believe. I don't know if they are anymore. They used to be legal years ago. You could buy these on the likes of Amazon. But the Big P got their hands on what they wanted. I don't want to mention any names, so I don't want to get any channels into trouble. But let's just say the people who make the drugs, the Big P, and they were pulled. And I think it was because the peptides were so powerful. There's lots of different types of peptides that can target different things, but BPC 157 is predominantly known as being exactly as it says, a body protecting compound. The rate of healing is incredible. Again, I've never used it myself. I believe it's an injectable, which puts me off straight away. Not a lover of needles. But a couple of friends of mine have tried it and they've seen some incredible improvements. One had a damaged wrist and the other one had a damaged foot. So yeah, it's as far as Crohn's, again, my depth of knowledge in regards to BPC 157 for Crohn's unsure. And I agree with Al. I think diet is the best place to start there.
Nice one. Ben, do you have a take on it at all?
No, just to add that, yeah, diet should be the non-negotiable for Crohn's or any, similar intestinal issue. And then, so, you can't avoid the diet issue, but if you sort the diet out and then try supplements and medicines, see what works.
Yeah, sure. So, like Richard kind of said, short chain peptide, few amino acids put together. Researchers try these different things out. So they take pre-existing hormones or compounds that are produced naturally by the body, like BPC 157, like human growth hormone. BPC 157 is produced by body in gastric juices, so it is technically natural, but supplementing with it, bit of a grey area. If you're to buy it, you can still buy it in the UK because I bought it recently. I bought a lot of it. I've used it mainly for digestive distress, gut upset, things like that. Bit of joint pain sort of relief from it, but not major for me. Not my personal experience, hasn't been that useful. Wound healing is meant to be pretty good. The dosage can be, I believe it's about 500 micrograms if it's an injectable, I believe. But if you buy it, you can't buy it and say you're doing that. It's a research peptide or research chemical. So you have to say, I'm buying it for my research purposes, i.e. I've got a rat that I'm doing experiments on at home, sort of thing. But you can use capsules which are orally bioavailable. I prefer to use the capsules myself. I've used both. I've had mixed results with different injuries I've had or strains, tears, micro tears, things like that in my muscles. But it doesn't work in that if you have an injury that is going to heal or damage that is going to heal with what you're doing alongside what Ben said, so the diet, all that sort of stuff, and all that's fine. It'll make you heal, in my opinion, not medical advice, a little bit faster. It will do a quicker job of it. But what we'll say is, if it's not something that can be fixed, so i.e. a disease state, something which is degenerative, then it won't take it away. It might release some of the pressure, the inflammation, but it won't absolutely fix something that's broken. That's been my experience, but I've used it extensively over the last year to year and a half. Shoulder issues, it's worked once. The second time it didn't work much. Digestive issues, it's worked really, really well. If you use antibiotics, that's when I've used it. It's been quite effective there. So yeah, it will definitely do something useful for the tight junctions in the gut. Is there any real science, hard science on humans to support that claim? Not really, but you can take my word for it. I'm not a liar. I'm not affiliated with anything like that. I have used it and it's been quite effective, but I will say it is quite pricey for what it is. You'll end up spending probably 50, maybe £60 per month to use it if you're using it at the correct dose, I believe. So it's quite expensive. Now, if you're then looking at, you're not eating the right food and you're substituting that for that, then forget about it. It's what you call a biohack. So it's a supplement. It's a tool in a box, not an essential or a staple product, in my opinion.
Save your money and use lecithin.
Yeah, I've actually been using the ketones that you got me.
Yeah,
the vanilla. Yeah, so I've been using them before workouts and at night. I've been quite enjoying them actually, in like hot water or something. And I've been finding my energy is quite clear with them.
Yeah, it's exactly what they do. Number of benefits, but this is what the brain is made of, is beta hydroxybutyrate in the womb. This is what it builds our brain, the beta hydroxybutyrate, and this is what fuels the brain. So even in I supply it to I don't know if I'm allowed to say actually, but one of the medical establishments then for treatment. I don't know if I can use the word treatment. People with Alzheimer's and dementia are using it through a registered establishment. Let's go along those lines, because of its ability to breach the blood-brain barrier. But the benefits in regards to athletic performance in our case is it blocks NLRP3 inflammasome, so it helps speed up recovery and repair. Loads of other benefits in regards to athletic performance. What are the others, Al? There's one that's on the tip of my tongue that I can't remember, because you're a lover of those also, aren't you?
Yeah, I ordered some yesterday. I can get the ketone esters over here in Sweden. I really like the esters because I'm very greedy and they're super strong. But it's a different buzz, if you like. It's not your pre-workout buzz. It's just brain being alive buzz without a buzz. If you've had a rubbish sleep, for example, and you just got that distance in the back of your eyes, that hazy morning, have some ketones and it just takes that away and you feel sharp again for the day without being spiked of vacant energy, which sort of caffeine does. I think anyone who's took caffeine and ephedrine, like the EPH that we used to take in the 90s, you're spaced out. You're literally on edge. Ketones, you're just smooth, lovely energy. It's different. It's hard to explain without trying it.
Yeah, I went through a period in about 2001. I've been quite hooked on stackers, some pseudoephedrine. I was working at a design agency, and we decided to pull an all-nighter one Friday night. We got pizzas in, and then my mate Billy, who was another designer and a gym bunny, he got out these stackers and he said, "This will help you stay up." And for me, being prone to be drawn to uppers and stimulants like that, it was bad news, because I could just go to the bodybuilding shop and buy a couple of bottles and they're foul things, rotten things.
Originally it actually came out in the 90s, in early 90s. It was called Ultimate Orange.
Dan Duchesne.
Yeah. I'm that old, you see. So I remember taking Ultimate Orange, and I was in Greece on tour with the group that I was in. And me and my friend came in, and you're supposed to take 2 scoops. We did half a tub in one go between us. And for the next 2 more nights, we didn't sleep. And I was on the beach then by day 3, shaking. I was only 20, 21 years old, looking at each other. I think we've overdone it, haven't we? And he's just nodding at me. He was like 10 years older than me, so he was in a worse shape than I was. But it was lethal. The Ultimate Orange. Of course, it got banned. Quite right.
Yeah, those pre's do get abused a lot by young children who are like 16 years old. I mean, I remember when Jack 3D came out. So that was my bodybuilding era. So that was one. I think it I think it had dimethylamyline or something in it, 1,3-DMAA or something like that. And that was pretty tough. That would give you headaches. Remember the ephedrine product? It'd do the same sort of thing, but it would expand your airways a bit, your lungs. You could breathe better. There's a definite endurance benefit there. Obviously, the more you use it, the harder you train, but that's disproportionate to the amount of recovery capacity you have. So your cortisol goes right up. You don't sleep well. Then you end up doing 2 nights down the beach or drinking or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've had my experience with these things, but I like Rich's product. I used that the other day. I used the whole stack actually. I used the what was it? The electrolytes, the protein, and
the raspberry ketone.
I can't remember now. I don't know which one was it, Richard.
The vanilla. I think you had, wasn't it? The vanilla BHB.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. So I used that around the workout.
MCT was the other one, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, good products. I mean, I'm not a fan of products myself, but I think for what they are good. They do work. They don't absolutely rip you apart like the stimulants that I used to buy. So I used to do like 3 or 4 scoops, but your product is like 1 scoop. The keto pre-workout it's literally a 1 scoop product. You don't need 4 scoops.
Yeah, so Al, for example, will take 3, but he's a beast. But look, it's the thing with these is that they're not really supplements. They're classed as foods. I don't want to go off too much on product, but it's these are the world's highest purity by certification. The C8 is 99.9%, so it's the world's. I produce the world's highest purity MCT C8 oil and powder. I'm one of only 2 companies in the UK licensed to manufacture BHB. And again, mine is arguably the highest purity out of any other one on the market in regards to BHB powders. But there are a few different types that we do, but there's lots of benefits. And basically all they do is enhance. Diet comes first. I'm carnivore. Al's predominantly keto, but within that ketogenic state, we're producing BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate. We reap all of these benefits from the lifestyle that we live. And all these products do is allow us to tap in a little bit deeper to experience a little bit more benefit, should you wish to do so. But they're not essential by any means.
I love supplements. I've always loved drugs and supplements. Anything that can enhance your experience of training or mood or life or fun. I guess that's my bit of an addictive personality. But now, I will try any supplements and give my honest opinion on them. So I love supplements.
I've got a question actually then, just following on from this before we move on to any other questions, because they're coming through a bit slower this week. What were your guys' top hacks for mental performance? Because I'm interested in trying some stuff. Currently, I'm doing 30 days with a hell of a lot of seafood, trying to see if it makes me better at chess. And currently it's not right now, but it is making me put on weight because I'm cooking with a lot of cream. So I've got an extra 1/4 inch of fat all the way around now, which I didn't have before. But yeah, so I mean, things that I've come across, methylene blue as one possibility, and then there's some mushrooms as well. Is it? I think lion's mane.
Lion's mane.
It's the primary one, yeah. So yeah, have you got any other mental alertness, mental performance hacks that don't involve uppers?
Do you want me to jump on this before the rest of you, really quickly?
Okay.
Yeah, go quick. Yeah.
The BHB is by far the best product in existence on the planet for mental health. This is what the brain needs. This is what we convert and feed to the brain. And this is why it's so powerful in the treatment of people with dementia, Parkinson's, severe psychosis. And you take this stuff and you feed the brain, and it gives you this mental alertness. All of the studies done initially on the ketogenic lifestyle in regards to health and well-being, they were initially done using compounds like C8-MCT and beta-hydroxybutyrate powders because it was deemed that the lifestyle was too difficult to stick to. So all of the early research was done on supplementation. I take it a couple of times throughout the day for various different reasons, but mental clarity, I could not come on to the live having not taken some BHB, not because the carnivore lifestyle isn't cutting it for me. It's because my day is so busy, so hectic. I don't get enough sleep because of my job. I work 7 days a week. But if you were doing a chess competition and you take some BHB or MCT works in the same way, but it's got to be converted into BHB, and C8 is the most potent. The C8 is sent straight to the liver through the hepatic portal vein, and it's instantly converted into beta hydroxybutyrate, whether you were ketogenic or not.
It's C8 caprylic acid.
That's it, caprylic acid, yeah.
So 8 carbon saturated fatty acid.
Spot on. So mine is 99.9% pure. So other brands on the market, you'll see a 99.7, 99.8. Yes, it's only 0.1 and 0.2%, but it's still the world's highest.
But you'll be on the toilet for a lot of the time
if you take too much oil.
And if it's less pure as well. I've tried different brands, and even though I'm adapted to keto very, very well, I've tried other brands, and you're not constipated, put it that way. With MCT oil, you will know about it. So if you are ever feeling constipated, that is a very good laxative.
Yeah.
But
and we do the powder as well.
Yeah, I like the powder for traveling because, of course, you can take it on the plane a lot easier. You can just put it in your coffee, whereas obviously the liquid, you can't take it in your hand luggage anymore.
Yeah.
But regarding brain energy as well, I was just going to say what you said you don't get, and it's sleep. Sleep is the number one thing for your brain energy for the next day. So I do anything to try and hack my sleep, from taking BHB before bed, which I've tried. I've tried the esters before bed. I find that very good. I take one of Jordan Peters' products, that Dream Sleep. I try, what else do I take? Magnesium, extra magnesium before sleep, and fade out, Redcon 1. They do a fade out. It's got melatonin in, 5 milligrams, which is quite strong. So I do a scoop of that as well. And it helps me sleep because I've always been a poor sleeper, to be honest. So I'm sleeping the best that I've probably slept in 10 years. And all this stack helps. Still wake up once, but I can get 6.5 hours, 6 hours, and I'm good with that. But again, the more sleep you get, the better you're going to feel.
You guys are a lot more conservative than I am. I was going to say quite extreme stuff then, but yeah, I mean, like nutritionally, I'd look at choline, things like that, help build up the brain. So that's going to be your eggs, obviously, the seafood, the DHA, great for the brain, cholesterol, great for the brain. What these guys said. There is something called injectable ATP, which is rocket fuel, in my opinion. But yeah, my best workouts have been using that, and it's been extremely effective. It's naturally occurring that your body produces it. It just gives you a bit of a boost. I notice like stronger muscle contractions. So where I'd be a bit shaky and something, it's like I just feel strong. My grip's really strong. But it's something you don't just use. It's not medical advice. You don't just do it and just guess. Do a lot of research before using it, because it is a legit product that does some stuff. That's if you're looking for that sort of thing. But it depends if you're looking at the side of like creativity or wired or spatially aware. Like all these things have different effects, so it kind of depends on that, I guess.
What about simply creatine? I mean, that's
10 grams.
Yeah, that's for the brain also, not just for muscles. So even as a carnivore, you would have to eat 1 kilo of steak a day to get 5 grams of creatine. So nobody's getting 10 grams of creatine from meat, not even Sean Baker. That would be a lot of steak.
Yeah, I use creatine sometimes. It's more like as and when. So I use it maybe 2 or 3 times a week in the evening, or just whenever throughout the day if I'm thirsty. I'll put it just a powder within my drinks. But yes, that's a good biohack if you're somewhat depleted. It seems to help some people, and for other people it doesn't seem to do much. So it's worth trying. It's cheap enough, I find.
Dr. D. Nicoliantonio on a podcast last week, I think with Seam Land, was saying that creatine monohydrate, if you take that after a workout with some carbohydrate and protein, it's 7 times more absorbed.
That's a load of shit.
he's the mineral guy. I was inclined to think that also, but he is very intelligent with a lot of stuff he comes out with. But I mean, creatine has been so researched over the last 30 years. I think we would have heard about that on a million other studies, to be honest. And it's a saturated product. You saturate your muscles with it. So I don't see how just taking it that time after training with carbs would make any difference.
Well, your body will just use it and soak up if it needs it, and then it doesn't need, will just be excreted. It doesn't matter about the speed of delivery. It's not imminent, you know, because if you train 4 times per day, and God forbid someone did, yeah, maybe it's more important to have, you know, so quickly. But if you just train once a day, I train 4 times a week. Like you said, it just saturates your body, so I don't see the need to rush to get it in. You know, it'll just get in when it gets in.
I just take it in the morning when I remember, because I just add it to the protein and yogurt mix that I always have.
Yeah, that's a good shot. Yeah. All right, should we get to the next question? Rambling about stuff. Question from Matthew directed to Alan, which is about your bodybuilding split routine. What do you do? Do you think you'll eat full carnivore or just stay keto? What's your diet and training looking like at the moment?
Okay, I've just changed the split. Last year, I went and trained with Dorian Yates and got certified with his high intensity training techniques. So I was doing his split, which he did for pretty much the 10 years while he was doing Mr. Olympia with the 4-day split, which is pretty much back, chest, you know, breaking it up individually as a bro splits, as people would call it. But currently, I've just switched to push-pull legs. So just combining shoulders with chest. I'm training 7 days a week I train, but I only lift 4 days a week, 4 or 5. Depends on recovery, to be fair. If I've slept good and I feel good, I auto-regulate and listen to the body and see how I feel. I'm just about to train with Dorian again in Easter when we go to Spain. So I'm just going to start a new split of training to failure again, because I only train to failure like that for about 6 weeks. I find that's what the body can take at my age safely. And so I've just started that this week, and it's been a good first week. Regarding the diet, I don't do carnivore as a weekly thing. I tend to have carnivore meals. I had a carnivore lunch today, just steak and eggs. I often have that, but I generally have some keto meals every day. I have some carbs around the workout, not all the time, but sometimes, whether it's a little bit of cream of rice or some honey or even some fruit. It could be a banana. Not a lot, around 100 grams of carbs a day. And I'm still in ketosis with that. Even when I do my cyclical carbs refeeds, I've done up to 500 grams on a Saturday and 500 on a Sunday. By Monday morning, I've got ketones in the blood again. So I'm very adapted with doing a cyclical ketogenic diet. And I find that really works for me.
Yeah, fair. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I train about 4 times a week myself. I quite enjoy it. It works quite well. Similar sort of training style to Dorian Yates. I do less warm-ups, less exercises. I tend to do between about 5 and 10 sets total, and that does the job. Every set's to concentric muscular failure, if not further. Yeah, seems pretty good. I enjoy that. I'm guessing this question's for you as well, Aaron. So yeah, about Dorian Yates. What was it like meeting Dorian Yates? I've met him a few times.
Yeah, it was great. We text each other now, so yeah, I do know Dorian. We're from the same area in England, pretty much. We grew up sort of a few miles apart, so we shared a few stories, because of course he's only 10 years older than me. So I've always looked up to him since he was on stage. Literally, always loved his style of training as well, because I don't think anybody trained harder than Dorian when you watch the videos back. He was just insane. And of course, training, I didn't train with him, but he trained me. He was the one that was saying, one more, one more, one more. And he says that about 8 times. So it's, but when he says one more, you find the energy to do it. You know, it's, you really do, having this legend telling you. But yeah, it was a great experience. So I can't wait to get back out in Marbella. He actually came to Sweden. That's really why I entered the Swedish competition in the men's physique, because he said, I'm going to be there. He was promoting his products. So he said, do the show. You're going to do well. So if he's telling you to do it, and having him cheering me along, and then I went and won as well. So it was a good day. So yeah, Dorian is not just a legend. Of course, he's a legend, but he's so chilled out and such a cool guy. And I like his theories of his spirituality and his ideas on the establishments and stuff. We think alike. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Dorian.
Yeah, I can get behind that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I've watched. He did a documentary on Generation Iron or something. You can find it, I think, on Prime Video or something. It's something like that. But it's like the story of or building the mass monster, something like that. That's quite a good documentary. It goes into like the personal side of it as opposed to, you know, the training side, which is, in my opinion, much more interesting. We got the next question from Irina Feshenko. It's, hey, female, started Carnivore 2 months ago. Work out a lot, but do not see muscle percentage changes. Only fat percent got up. Also, got ravenous appetite more than it was. How long does it take to stabilize? Alan, do you want to have a go at this one?
Yeah. So again, when you're removing a macro like carbs from your diet, a lot of ladies, especially, I've found, are a little bit scared to eat enough fat, and fat has to become your fuel, because protein's not a great source of energy. So you need your protein for your muscle, but if you're relying on the protein for the energy, you tend to be a little bit hungry and a little bit tired. So I would say push your fat up, eat fattier cuts of meat, add some butter, some fat to the meal, and see how you feel. But regarding the muscle changes, muscle takes phenomenally slow amount of time. I mean, I added 10 kilos of muscle in the last 5 years, so 2 kilos per year. You cannot measure that on a scale. It would literally be about 16 grams per day or something. Or per week. It's so tiny. So you need to just measure your workouts with progress. So add a rep, add 2 reps. When you get up to adding 5 reps, add some weight, and then take the reps back down and keep progressing your workouts. That's the best way to measure. Regarding body fat, again, take your measurements, check the photographs. Don't concentrate, don't get fixated on the scale, because that does fluctuate so much. With 70% water, you could have more salt one day and then put on a kilo. So it can really ruin somebody's day. And ladies, in my experience coaching them, can be very governed by the scale for that mood for the day. If they stand on the scale in the morning, it's a kilo up, that's it, the day could be ruined. So don't overcook the scale, if you like. Use the other measurements first.
Yeah, sounds pretty sensible. Well, Phil's here now, so welcome, Phil. Thank you for joining. Phil got stuck in a lot of traffic back from London. I appreciate he's managed to find time to get on anyway and get here safely.
Can I jump in on this?
How
yeah,
can
sure,
I
go for
resist?
it.
I've been just stuffing my face with some food and checking out what you've been on about. And lovely to meet you, man. I've not met you before. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you, mate.
No, it's been a long day. I've walked hundreds of miles around London filming stuff, and driving back, it's 225 miles. It's been a long day, but I couldn't resist. So, yeah, anyway, don't let me interrupt. Carry on.
All I wanted to say was the phrase "work out a lot" could hide a multitude of sins. You know, if you're wanting to put on muscle, I would want more information about what work out a lot means. You know, if you're in the gym for 3 hours, then that's probably not the, you know, are you on the treadmill or are you on a rowing machine?
Yeah.
You know? So if
Yeah,
you could add
also,
more information on that, it'd be good.
when I used to run a gym back late 90s, I would see the least progress in people that would do bicep curls every single day. You know, just if starting off and hitting the really big lift, you know, just put on some mass first, hit the big lifts, train abbreviated, and then see after a while what you've got to work with. You know, you can't make a statue with no clay.
Well, this is why I'm very much into Dorian Yates and Mike Mentzer. I'm a big fan of Mike Mentzer from the 80s as well, and 70s, of course, of minimal volume. He used to say, exercise the art of restraint and stay away from the gym. I know the gym can be addictive as well, and you might need to go there for your mental health. I'm there 7 days a week, but 3 of those days I'm doing cardio, because the most important muscle in our body is the heart, in my opinion, because when that stops, it's game over, isn't it? So we need to exercise that muscle in various different intensities, and of course stretching, yoga, mobility exercises. They're all super important. Certainly when you get over a certain age, you neglect that in your 20s and 30s, but 40s and 50s, it has to be done all the time.
Can I jump on this one quickly?
I agree, Matt. You were talking before I came on about training with Dorian, and he was a big hero of mine back in the day. And I used to love the whole thing where I remember reading some article in one of the mags, and he'd sort of go in and load up some bar with 600 pounds and do a couple of sets of rows and then go home and sleep. And that was it, you know. And it blew me away, because when I took over the gym, I was already quite an old bastard. I was like 1997, I was 35. And I thought, I'm not going to put on any muscle. And I trained really abbreviated, literally 10 minutes 3 times a week. It was brutal. And I put on, 20 rep squats, and then maybe some stiff leg deadlifts, maybe some bench press and chins and, whatever, spread out over the week. And I put on so much muscle. I was trying to persuade. I used to write for an old bodybuilding mag called Hard Gainer years ago. Stuart McRoberts mag, no protein supplement ads, none of that sort of stuff. And I put on so much muscle so quick, training that abbreviated. It backfired on me, because all the steroid boys said, "Oh, you're on the gear, are you?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm not."
Well, this is when the volume stuff came in, the high volume. It didn't really matter what they did, because they would just take more drugs. And
yeah,
it didn't matter what they did, because they're going to just take more. And since probably the noughties, this is when the doses became obscene. Of course, the stuff became probably more counterfeited as well, because there was more underground fake labs, but they just took more, and I think they still do. So literally, if you're taking that much gear, it doesn't matter, just you're going to grow. So don't look at them, look at the people that have failed. I think the normal people that go to the gym in a standard gym, they actually don't progress their physique each year. They tend to get a bit worse and a bit smaller in your general pop gyms, and they don't make any progress at all.
Yeah, Alan, you're pretty sensible. Can you come on again? Yeah.
Can I just jump on this one?
I said the same thing as you, Alan, last week. It's funny that. Yeah, sure, Richard, go for it.
Yeah, look, Arena, you're training too much. You shouldn't train beyond an hour. 45 minutes optimal. The issue with going beyond 45 minutes to an hour is you're increasing your stress hormones. When you increase the stress hormones, the body mobilizes glucose from glycogen in order to stabilize the stress hormones. So you're inadvertently causing fat gain by training too much. You don't build muscle by the amount you train. You build the muscle by healing. In order to do this, you need adequate protein, which is anywhere between 0.9 to 1 grams per pound of body weight as a rough gauge. I agree with Alan, possibly look at the fat content. But you're certainly training too much.
Yeah, I've
what I
just
would
read
also
that now.
suggest-
Yeah, she's training too much.
way too much. What I would also suggest as well is looking at your meal times. Women don't do well with fasting. A lot of women don't do well with fasting, again, because of this this stress hormone response. So I would suggest to eat maybe 2 to 3 meals per day, trying to keep them around 4 hours apart, while consuming around 40 to 50 grams of protein per meal, give or take, just enough to activate mTOR and allow you to recover and respond and rebound from the mTOR reset, which occurs every 3.5 to 4 hours, which is going to allow you to build extra muscle. But as Alan said also, at the top end, we can gain around 0.8 pounds of muscle per month, which as a top end, I mean, you're talking, if you're gaining 8 to 10 pounds of lean mass a year, you're doing very well. And typically this is seen from the type of person who is heavily supplemented with anabolic steroids. So don't expect to gain pounds and pounds and pounds every month. These videos and people that you see on YouTube who are claiming to have gained X amount of Ks in muscle, it's rubbish. It's utter rubbish. Yes, you can gain weight. And as Alan said, you can gain weight through water, through salt. My body weight will fluctuate anywhere between 1 to 6K within a couple of days without gaining any body fat. The best way to measure body fat is through a caliper. I had one on my desk earlier, but it isn't here. Cheap caliper on Amazon for £5, and you can measure your skin fold, and that will give you a better indication of whether you were gaining any fat or not. Avoid the scales. If you were to drink a kilogram, perfect, spot on. Yeah, they're about £5 or £6. And really cheap. And you don't need a super fancy set of calipers. I don't even use the caliper to work out my body fat percentage. I just use it to track the fold. I've gained 6K in the last 2 weeks, yet my fat percentage on the caliper has remained unchanged, which means the body weight that I'm holding is probably to do with inflammation, which is another contributing factor to your weight gain. When you're inflamed, you're going to be holding on to way more fluid. And we are talking pounds and kilograms. The water, the salts, so on and so forth. So many contributing factors. Avoid the scale. The scale is your worst enemy. And when you think that you're not gaining muscle, you are, if you're training, and as long as you eat an adequate protein, it's just that muscle gain is incredibly so slow. You're going to see more gain through losing the fat.
She's chronically high with cortisol, you see. So
spot on. Yeah.
So it's making it hold water. Cortisol is also catabolic, so she's not building muscle. So with those extra calories, she may be eating enough fat, but she's gaining fat rather than converting it into muscle because she's not anabolic.
Yeah, spot on.
So is it
guys, listen, you have mTOR, right? You try that, and then you are immediately riddled with cancer. Some very kind vegans have told me this.
But so again, when it comes to mTOR, it's the activation of IGF-1 through carbohydrate. So we can activate mTOR directly through leucine, or we can activate it through IGF-1, which comes from sugars or carbohydrate. Activate directly, and we miss this IGF-1 activation. And again, we're not putting IGF-1 down. All of these things are in the body for a purpose. Even cortisol is there. We need all of these things. We quite often look at insulin and cortisol as being negative things within the body. We need them, but we need this amount, not this amount. It's this overactivation, and it's the same when it comes to IGF-1. We need IGF-1, but overactivation leads to, or can lead to, cancers and tumors and so on and so forth. Activate directly through protein. And as a side note, carbohydrates do not increase muscle protein synthesis at all. Zero, nothing. Adequate protein will elicit that mTOR response and allow you to build muscle. But what does increase muscle protein synthesis is the co-ingestion of protein with fat, i.e. a ketogenic or carnivore lifestyle. Eat as nature intended.
So is it fair to say that
because everyone's scared of mTOR? Sorry, Ben, carry on.
Is it fair to say that you gain the muscle on the days you're not going to the gym? So if you're going to the gym 5 days a week, that's only 2 days a week when you're actually going to be building muscle. You
always lose muscle when you're training, and you always lose fitness when you're training. It's the adaptive response after that you improve. I think Dorian Yates is pretty base in his opinion. I think if you're training hard 4 times a week is good. That's sufficient. That's more than enough. I think there's probably, honestly, maybe 4 or 5% difference between training 3 times a week and 4 times a week in terms of benefit. And 2 to 3 times a week is only maybe 10, 20% difference, in my opinion. But it all comes down to your training volume as well.
Depends on age and anabolics, whether you're on TRT or on a cycle. Cycles, yes, they can train 5, 6 times a week, or I struggle with 4 times a week. I can do it for 6 weeks, as I say, but then I do need a break. But 3 times a week, heavy, is fine. But again, I'm over 50, so you have to listen and auto-regulate your recovery. But in your 20s, is it, yes, you can train 5 times a week, but is it beneficial? I believe not. Again, muscle is made in bed and in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Yes, I've actually linked a workout video that I made, which talks you through the training, reps, sets, all that sort of stuff, rest periods, frequency. So it's just this link here. It's on my YouTube channel. I can't remember what it's called for life of me. Beginners and immediate workout, working out on a carnivore diet. Pretty much summarizes everything everyone said in this video so far. I will definitely not be training 7.5 hours per week in resistance training. I wouldn't be adding in deliberate cardio. If you want to do cardio or anything like that, go for a walk outside of the dog if you've got one. Go chill outside, sit in the park, get some sunlight. And I actually got absolutely butchered on Sean Baker's post recently. I think it was yesterday. He posted something like, a new study shows that 7.5 hours per week of exercise plus is doubles your risk of heart disease, something like that. And I was like, well, it probably does actually, because your heart isn't meant to be giant. You know, ancestrally, we weren't running around for 7.5 hours plus per week. We're persistent hunters. We're walking down animals. Then when we had to build something, we're just doing the same thing over and over again, cutting stuff. We were never doing explosive Dorian Yates workouts, eccentric negative reps every single day, 7.5 times a week. It wasn't happening. But not one person in the comment section could understand that. And I was like, I'm a bodybuilder. I like to train. I love training. I train 4 hours per week at max. And I'm bigger than everyone in this comment section right now because I went for every single naysayer arsehole's comment. And I'm like, I'm doing something right and you're not, obviously. You know?
Dorian, he trained
same
40 minutes 4 times a week, and he was bigger than all the other guys in America. And they all had the same gear. And arguably had much better genetics than him, like Flex Wheeler. And so Mike Mensa said to Flex Wheeler, if I trained you for a year, you would actually win Olympia. And of course, he never did. So maybe he should have listened. Mike Mensa, he got to the point of you should train every 72 hours. You should never train closer than that.
I
think you made a good point earlier, Alan, which I think was the key, is train as much as you can recover from.
I used to love those pics of Flex Wheeler doing the splits and his posing routine and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was ultimate genetics. But again, at the time, the mass monster, the 90s, was Dorian changed bodybuilding, didn't he? There's been sort of 3 bodybuilders to change everything, from Arnold, Dorian, and then Ronnie. But that was the time when you got to add the muscle, and Dorian did it in 40 minutes. When they filmed Blood and Guts, he was telling me, but the cameraman wasn't happy with the leg press, the leg press. He said, can we do that again? He said, yeah, come back next week. He only does 1 set. He would not do it. So they said, oh, stuff it, we'll just use that one. It's all right, because they wanted to get it out. But he wouldn't do another set because he wasn't an actor. He's a bodybuilder, and that's what he did.
Yeah. I want to show you guys this. So this is my YouTube channel. This is a short I did. So it's a minute long. Basically what I did is I've made loads of shorts recently where I've put in the last minute of my exercise, whatever it is. I talk through the whole thing. I put annotations, I narrate it. You can see how I lift each rep, how each rep works, all that sort of thing. The cadence, concentric, what I'm thinking about when I'm doing it. And I've got this for loads of exercises, honestly. So check that out, and it'll save you a lot of time. And if your exercise intensity isn't this good, you don't need to, you forget about the 5 times 1.5 hours a week. I mean, you can see that I'm shaking on rep, I think it's rep 2. So it's all about just intensity, training hard. And people train a lot, but they don't train hard, and that's part of the problem. And I think Rich made a good point as well, is what are you doing in the gym for an hour and a half? Are you messing around in cardio for an hour? Are you spending ages
Instagram.
just resting between sets? Instagram. In a blue lit gym, that's just depleting your body of energy, suppressing secreting loads of cortisol, all that sort of stuff. So that's just not helpful for long-term health, in my opinion. So you're sending yourself backwards. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dorian Yates, Phil's idea of training, Mike Mentzer. I'm probably between Dorian Yates and Mike Mentzer myself, somewhere in the middle between there. Does what I think is good.
I love it.
Yeah,
and it's hard training, but people don't want to do anything hard. They want it easy, and that's what training is. It's feeling that muscle contraction. People just move weight, and they don't muscle contract, and that's what bodybuilders do. Powerlifters move weight from A to B as quick as possible, using as much muscles as they can cheat with, if legally. Bodybuilders, it's about isolating that muscle and taking it till it wants to explode out of your chest safely. And that's my opinion of it.
Or you can be like Ben, who grows muscle just carrying the shopping bag from the supermarket. The butt.
I was gonna say, when you're talking about putting on 8 to 10 pounds a year, I'm sure I put on 15 kilos in 3 months when I was training to go back to rugby. But I'm a mesomorph. Like my sister's the same. My sister gets big calves walking up the stairs as well. It's just maybe genetic.
Well, here's an interesting one. In the winter of 2013, 2014, because 2010, 2011, crippled with rheumatoid arthritis, went vegan to try and fix it, ended up 9 stone, which is what, guys, with the maths for people who are abroad,
127 pounds.
Yeah, totally emaciated. And then all I had left was I got rid of my power rack, and all I had left was a trap bar, an Olympic bar, and a load of weights in the garage. And I looked at Body by Science by Doug McGuff, and I literally trained 8 minutes, probably once every 6-7 days. It was brutal because I knew I'd run a gym. I knew how to train like that, but I put on an enormous amount of muscle in one winter. Okay, I think there's something where you've had muscle before and then you can put it back on.
Muscle memory is real.
Muscle memory, yeah. It means a different. You can see probably it's too dark. You can't see my drums in the background. Muscle memory means a different thing for musicians, but yeah, it was amazing. It was literally 8 minutes every week, and wow. I restored a hell of a lot of the muscle I'd lost from my ridiculous vegan experiment in one winter. And it can be done. I don't know if everyone can do that, because I previously had muscle and I had, my body was emaciated. So it's a different case. But, if you really know how to train to outfail, I think somebody once made the analogy, if you've had a fight in the street and you've hit somebody and somebody's unconscious, there's no point kicking him again. Like if you've done one set and it's absolutely completely to failure and beyond, if you can, that's enough. That's enough. It's the old Dorian Yates thing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly. He says it's like hitting dynamite. If you just keep doing volumes, you're just tapping it. He just was one, bang, explodes it. Job done. Get out of the gym. Go and sunbathe. Not that he did much sunbathing in Birmingham, but he does now.
Well, sunbathe and take some hallucinogenic mushrooms, right? With Dorian. Yeah?
Oh yeah. He likes a bit of the pot.
He does.
We've got a quick question here because we're running out of time now. But the question is, how do you use calipers? I'll answer it. I've got a very long video on it, which is about 10-15 minutes long. And this is a link to it. It shows you how to do it bit by bit. Different measurements you can use, different ways you can use it, where you can buy the stuff. I would recommend checking that one out. It's a nicely presented video, very simple, basic to see. It shows you through the whole lot, software, websites, how you put the information in. The next question is for, I believe, mostly for Richard, apparently. NAC and glycine propagated by the reductionist, that is Sim Land, who's always making videos about the same 2 things over and over and over and over and over again. on YouTube. Lasts about 8 to 10 minutes long, so get someone tied for it. Are these a panacea of health outcomes in terms of benefit, or are they a bit of a con? Do you need them? Do they help or not?
So NAC in particular, let's look at if you are consuming a standard diet, then things like this may confer a benefit because they work in the same way that that's the new saying. We're going to get t-shirts made of that. It may confer a benefit if you're coming from a lifestyle of being sick and unhealthy. The only thing when it comes to these compounds is that it's compared to what? Now, most of us on this panel don't take an awful lot of medication because we're not already sick. We don't need medication because we're not unwell. The thing with NAC is that it activates the NRF2 pathway. In fact, while I'm talking, I'm going to, can I share the screen? Let me share this quickly. I'm going to show you something. So you guys may have heard me speak about the NRF2 pathway a number of times. The NRF2 pathway is, this is a paper done on NAC, and it shows that it does so through elevating glutathione, through activating the NRF2 pathway. Except overexpression of the NRF2 pathway is never a good thing. Overexpression of the NRF2 pathway leads to things like this. And these are the types of activations that we see from lead, mercury, arsenic, turmeric, tobacco smoke. When you overactivate the NRF2 pathway, this overexpression is detrimental to your health. So if you were to argue the things like taking NAC is going to confer a benefit, then you must also admit that ingesting lead, mercury, arsenic, tobacco smoke, and so on and so forth is also going to confer a benefit. Now, the reason they think it confers a benefit is because it activates and increases glutathione, the body's master antioxidant. Except we do this through a different mechanism when we're ketogenic or carnivore. Now, many would argue that being ketogenic and carnivore also activates the NRF2 pathway, which it does, but it's acutely, so it's incredibly strong, but it only lasts a couple of weeks. Once you've come through this phase, the detoxification phase, NRF2 depletes and all of the benefits of glutathione are there. There's a difference between environmental hormesis and molecular hormesis. So environmental hormesis are things like cold water therapy, red light treatment, all these sorts of things, which are proven they work. They are environmental. Now, one would argue that being ketogenic is molecular because it's to do with something that we eat, which is what, eating turmeric or lead or mercury or arsenic or NAC would do. Except I would argue the different. Being ketogenic is not a result of something you eat. It's environmental.
No, it's a state.
It's a state. So if you do not eat anything, you become ketogenic. You don't become ketogenic because you're eating something. Therefore, being ketogenic and carnivore is also environmental. Glutathione, the body's master antioxidant, is increased beyond anything else when we are ketogenic. If you are living a ketogenic or carnivore lifestyle, I would not waste your money on NAC products. If you are sick and unhealthy, then I believe that there may be a benefit to be had. But again, it's compared to what? So if you live in the lifestyle, is it going to increase your lifespan? Not if you're carnivore. If you are sick and unhealthy, then it may do through this activation. But always be careful of the overactivation of the NRF2 pathway. Overactivation of that pathway is never a good thing.
Cool.
Fair.
I
Yeah,
took
I don't know much
glycine
about-
because of same land, but I take collagen from Richard, which I know has glycine in it. But I took specifically ordered glycine and inositol, which Seamland said will help your sleep, and it kept me up. It didn't make my sleep any better. It made it. I've tried it maybe 10 times, and it was actually worse. My sleep.
I don't rate him. I'll be honest. I don't go on air, and I'm not putting anybody down, but I don't rate him at all. Yeah,
it didn't help my sleep for sure.
Half of what he says, I believe, is beneficial. And it's the old Dr. Berg anecdote, isn't it? I think Dr. Berg does a fantastic job in spreading the word of the ketogenic lifestyle. But then he just loses the plot when he tells you to eat 8 cups of veg.
Here's a product. Here's my Thrive Market affiliate link. Here's my Amazon powder.
I can't say anything about people selling products because that's my business. This is what I do. But I will tell you first and foremost, you do not need any supplements or products to be fit and healthy. You don't need anything. You just need to live the lifestyle. If you want to benefit more, and I'm trying to avoid saying confer more benefit, but
Yeah, if you want to be an athlete, then you want to push your body to
or if
an
you're deficient,
extreme.
you know. But
An
it's
extreme. But sports is generally not healthy.
you're right.
It's you push yourself to that limit where you can hurt yourself. Bodybuilding is not a healthy sport. They're down to 3-4% body fat, and then they gain and balloon a week later. It's not about health. It's about aesthetics. Powerlifting, it's not healthy. They're going to injure themselves. Or
Yeah,
have
I went to see Eddie Hall, audience with Eddie Hall, after he won World's Strongest Man 2017. He said his doctors said, don't try and do it again. This is your one shot. If you keep going the way you're going with 30,000 calories a day or whatever, you're gonna blow up your liver and your kidneys.
Same as his 500 kilo dumbbell bench deadlift. He was in hospital for 2.5 hours after that on oxygen. He was going to explode. So I know, but athletes push themselves to brink of death. But as a healthy lifestyle, eat highly nutritious food, single ingredient food. I like the Mediterranean style keto diet because there's no detriment to me eating some salads at all. And yeah, use carbs occasionally if you need it. Simple.
Yeah, Ben's off now. He's been kind
Sorry,
of donating.
Anybody is watching, like, I wasn't laughing at anything Alan was saying. It was Ben's comment about the magnesium shit trait and how he's got to run. That was amusing. Yeah. Carry on.
He's been on the MCT or...
Yeah, these supplements you guys are talking about, I mean, obviously I have everything under the sun. Managed vegan health food shop, worked in Holland and Barrett, all that sort of thing. So I've tried all these things. I know what does and doesn't work. And I think if it's a vitamin or mineral or amino acid in isolation, it can be useful, treating deficiencies. You know, people with hypothyroidism, tyrosine can be useful. Carnitine can be useful. Selenium can be useful. Less useful perhaps in a carnivorous or ketogenic lifestyle where eating a lot of animal foods. But, you know, athletes, I mean, when, like you said, if I'm going to get down to 3-4% body fat in, I don't know, 4 months' time or something, what's going to be better for me? Something that's going to hit my system fast in terms of like a nutritional supplement food, so an MCT powder, maybe some BHB in it, or, I don't know, a load of eggs and a bit of butter. You know, it might confer a benefit, as Richard would say. So it's worth a go.
Veganism, Jonathan, that's the best way to get down to really low body fat. You just
you lose the muscle. You lose the muscle.
You get so much inflammation that it burns everything away. That's what you want. Been there, done that. Had the kidney stones, not going back.
We'll wrap up with the last two questions, guys, just because I'm aware everyone's probably tired and know Rich has been working 90 hours this week. So this is a question from Landers, which is, does anyone on the panel feel training more than 3 times a week helps mentally? I'll say yes. I like to train 4 times a week. I can train 5, but I train hard enough that 4 is my limit. Then I go backwards in terms of my results. My training performance goes down. So 4 is my limit, but 3 is also good. What do you guys think?
7. But again, what do you call training? I don't weight train 7 times, but I have to go to the gym. That's my hour. That's my escape. I work in a gym, but I go to a different gym than where I work because that's my routine. And I might just walk on the treadmill for an hour, do some emails or something. But it's being in the gym, and it's mentally helps me start my day. So yeah, 100%. It's good for. It's the best antidepressant that there is the gym.
Yeah.
Can I jump in there? And I think that's absolutely great. You know, just go out and do something. But it depends what you mean by mentally, because I come from this, although my training background was like a long time ago, and then I got felled by horrendous autoimmunity. So it depends what you mean by mentally, but I'd just like to put in that there's a huge connection between gut health and mental health. So fix the gut, get your mental health back online, and then when your body demands some exercise, go and do it. It depends on your starting point. Because if you're completely fucked, can I say that here? What the hell?
You just
You
did.
know, if you are, then you've really got to figure out before you go out and start training.
But then you can still go to the gym
People
and
come to
walk
me.
on
I
the
mean,
treadmill.
mostly in my consults, like
For
I'm
5K.
dealing with autoimmune people, and they go, "Well, I just can't train anymore." Right? Don't train. Fix the gut. Lie on the sofa, and then when your body wants to move, go and train. If you're going to train, so it depends where you're coming from with the mental health stuff. Sorry, Alan. Carry on.
No, it's right. I mean, but there is always something to do. If it does help you get out of the house for mentally stimulation, then you don't have to go and lift weights at the gym. You can go and just do a yoga class or some mobility, or just, if you're at David Lloyd, go to the restaurant. It just gets you out of the house. But that can be mentally stimulating because it's a social event as well, or at least it used to be before everybody got the AirPods in. We used to talk to each other at gyms in the 80s and 90s, but that was the good old days. Now you might trip over a tripod.
Well, now people prefer brain tumors to talking to each other, right, with the AirPods.
Yeah,
Exactly. But
hence the wire. Yeah, but it's no, you're right. It coming mental health. It is 100% a dietary issue. I won't have time to go into it now. That's a talk for another day. But mental health, you can massively improve, if not completely reverse, through diet. But again, training has an impact on it. It does affect the neurotransmitters and the way that the body perceives things. I couldn't be without training. My current training schedule is probably about 12 times a week, believe it or not. But I'm trying something different. I'm doing split training. So I'm training twice a day, but I'm doing less than an hour each time. So before I go into this over-activation of cortisol, I'm stopping, and then I'm repeating again after cortisol has recovered. Something new that I'm trying. So I will keep you updated over the next couple of weeks in regards to that. But there was something else that popped up, wasn't it? I can't remember. I've lost my trail of thought. But Mike has said, Richard is great. Carnivores don't get tired, though. So, so no excuses.
Imagine how tired you'll be if you ate carbs, though. So,
Oh,
I know. I would not be here if I
You'd
was
be
eating
able to do
carbs.
it.
I would be crashed. And yeah, in fact, when I was on carb, I would finish my job. I'd go home and I would sleep for a couple of hours, after eating, and then I'd be back up again. I would need to nap, and quite often I'd nap in the day during my lunch breaks and stuff. I was constantly crashing on carbs. There's no way I could do what I do on carbohydrate, or excess carbohydrate at least.
Yeah. I've tried different training regimens. I've tried even up to 3 times per day. What I found for myself is just the overall training volume seems to do it. And I think as you train, so shall you perform. So Richard's doing a lot of endurance activities that require him to sit on a bike for an hour, for example. So he needs to do an hour. He can't do 4 hours per week like I do.
And the rest.
You know? Yeah, and the rest. So you get the picture, guys. So, the training has to be specific. You can't expect to build muscle lifting up cans of beans. In the same token, you can't expect to build muscle trying to be Eddie Hall. You'll get bigger and stronger, but you won't build absolute muscle size because you're, like Alan said earlier, A to B lifting, not muscle contraction. So it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Something popped up just then that carnivores don't get tired. It's so true. Like I'm 61 now, and I play long drumming gigs and long rehearsals. We had a rehearsal a little while ago, like about ago. I hope the guys aren't listening to this, but they're like sort of half or 3/4 of my age, at most, in the band. And then all of a sudden, halfway through a 6-hour rehearsal, they go, "Wait, is anyone hungry? Has anyone got any food? Has anyone?" And then I thought, I could play all day, and I realised I haven't eaten today, and I've driven about like 30 miles to the rehearsal or whatever. And this happens gigs, you get these sort of, there's one particular sort of very fit, ripped guy who's half my age exactly in a band, guitarist. And guitarists, I mean, sod them. They don't put out so much energy as a drummer. And at the end of the gig, I need a pizza. I've got to go and eat something, I think I haven't eaten today, and I could do the gig again. And it is amazing because since it's been 9 years now, I think, probably since I had a carbohydrate, and the energy is incredibly stable. It's amazing. You can just carry on and on and on. It's a log on the fire rather than newspaper, right?
Before I went keto, I couldn't go more than 2 hours without eating. I was hangry. And that was, then I ended up doing 48-hour fasts. No problem. And I trained twice. I wanted to try fasting because it was a fad sort of 8 years ago. It was coming in. So I tried it and I could do it. I didn't particularly think it was beneficial for me long term because I felt I lost muscle and I got too skinny. But I was on quite low protein and super high fat. I was doing 82% fat. But I had great mind energy. It was phenomenal. But for bodybuilding, you need more protein.
Yeah, you do. Have you ever tried dry fasting, Alan? Because I lost a hell of a lot of muscle back in my days when I was doing a load of fasting because I had so much inflammation, so much agony, and fasting was the only thing that would sort it out. I became frightened of food because every time I ate again, the inflammation would come in. But then I lost all the muscle, everything I gained in the gym, in a whole lot. But recently, with dry fasting, as a carnivore, I don't really need it much, but I've done it now and again. But it preserves muscle mass. And I wish I'd known it back in the day when I was doing up to 11 days water fasting. And just to be able to do dry fasting that then mops up all the stuff with the autophagy, the apoptosis, but preserve muscle mass. Interesting thing.
Alan, I'd give it a go. At least give intermittent dry fasting a go. So if you eat, say, 2 meals per day, just don't eat or drink the hours you're not in that feeding window.
I never
you'd
tried
be quite surprised.
A lot of water and a lot of salt.
No, you wimps. Dry fasting starts at like 10
days.
Yeah, no, not 10 days. 10 days is cool though, dry fasting. If you've got pancreatic cancer, 11 days, dry fast, do it. But, a night, a day, a night, a day, and a night. Try that dry fasting, see what it does. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. I think on that note, guys, we'll wrap it up unless you guys have any sort of final words.
No, I'm going to
really
put
quickly
to bed.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll 2 secs really quickly. I'll just answer this one. There is one in there. Is it okay just to eat mincemeat? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live on 90% mincemeat, lamb and beef. Absolutely.
Between us,
again, it depends what fat percentage. If you've got anything autoimmune to heal, add a load of tallow. Get the fat percentage up. And
get the 20.
Between us, I'm sure there's a few thousand. Between us four in the panel, I'm sure we've consulted with a few thousand people. I can say, in my experience, very few people are just eating steaks. Maybe a couple out of a few hundred. Most people that I speak to are eating minced beef from the shop, from Aldi, or from the market if they're a bit more wealthy, so down the farm shop. And not many people are eating steaks. If you can afford it, go for it. But there's nothing wrong with minced beef. There's an issue of histamine intolerance, but not many people suffer with that. It's overstated, in my opinion. People self-diagnose without really understanding the symptomology of it, in my experience. But do you guys think the same? Is that your experience, or do you experience different?
Definitely. Yeah. They're probably getting more histamine from their egg whites rather than the meat, because they're probably having eggs as well. They'd be better to perhaps just try the egg yolk with the meat, mix it with the mincemeat. That's lovely.
Absolutely. Egg whites are Satan's rubbery bits. They need to go in the bin. They're appalling.
Right then,
nice
gents.
one.
Ready to wrap up?
I'm ready to wrap up. So, Alan, where can people find you?
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Coach Al Reeves, so AL and then Reeves. Facebook, the same. And that's the main 2 social medias. I've got Al Keto King YouTube channel where I do this sort of thing with mostly Richard. And I'm not that active, but I'm a little bit busy at the minute, but I need to get back on the YouTube a little bit more. But yeah, Instagram mainly.
Nice one. Well, cheers for coming on tonight, and thank you everyone else for joining.
Thanks for inviting me,
Great
Jonathan.
to meet you,
Pleasure.
John.
And you,
Excellent.
really, I've seen you around, so nice to speak to you and touch base and say hi to Ben or bye to Ben when he comes off the loo.